Geometry Unit 5, Similar Polygons. This is, we're going to start with problems number 1 through 4. We're talking about ratios. Similar polygons are polygons that are equal, not equal to each other, but similar. That means in proportion. So if a triangle has a side of 4, 6, and 8, the similar, if it was twice as big, would be 8, 12, and 16, all right? So they are in proportion. So fractions is what we're talking about. There's 3 ways you can write your ratios. In 1 through 4, 1, 2, and 3, they're wanting you to reduce. Find the ratio in simplest forms, all right? There's 3 ways you can write a ratio. You can write it 5 to 20. You can write 5, you read it 5 to 20, 5 to 20. You can write it with a colon in the middle, or you can write it as a fraction, 5 over 20, 5 to 20, all right? So it's just like reducing a fraction. 5 and 20 can both be reduced by 5. 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 20 4 times. The simplest form of 5 to 20 is 1 over 4 or 1 to 4. However you want to write it. Problem number 2, they say, what is the simplest form of 15 minutes to 3 hours? Now, this one is in minutes and hours, so you have to put it all in minutes. You can't put 15 over 3 because they're not in the same measurement. 15 minutes, and then you have to put how many minutes are in 3 hours. There's 60 minutes in an hour, and so 60 times 3, 6 times 3 is 18, so it'd be 180 minutes. All right, then you need to reduce this to lowest terms. Little hint, they can both be reduced by 15. So just divide both of these by 15 and you'll have your answer. Number 3, again, reduce to simplest terms, 30 to 5. I think we know that they both can be divided by 5. So 30 divided by 5 is 6, and 5 divided by 5 is 1. That's in lowest terms. They ask on number 4, find the ratio in simplest terms. So in this problem, you can see when you have a ratio, these are called your means and these are your extremes. Your means and extremes are equal. So the easiest way to simplify this is just multiply these for your numerator and multiply those for your denominator. 4 over 9 is that ratio in simplest form. In problems numbers 5 through 9, they ask you to solve for the variable. So you have 2 ratios set up. X over 3 equals 5 over 8. So the way to solve these is cross multiplication, all right? So you just multiply, keep your equal sign in the middle, multiply these 2, put them here, and these 2 and put them here, all right? So x times 8 is 8x, and 3 times 5 is 15. So x is equal to 15 over 8, or 1 7/8. Since 8 goes into 15 one time, with 7 left over 7 times. 7 plus 8 being 15. All right, number 6, same thing. Remember, you can write this like this. All right. So again, cross multiply. I would actually reduce to lowest terms before I multiplied. Just makes it a little bit easier. 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 12 4 times. So this would say 1 times 24 is 24, and 4 times x is 4x. 24 divided by 4 is 6 equals x. All right, do the same thing over here. 2 times 2 is 4, 6 times x is 6x. So x would equal 4 over 6, reduced to lowest terms, is going to be 2/3. All right, problem number 8, they give you 3 ratios. X over 5 is equal to 2 over 3 is equal to 5 over y. And they want you to solve for x and for y. So to solve for x, you use your constant, which is 2/3. There's no variables in it. So to solve for x, you're going to do cross multiplication, x over 5 with 2 over 3. And to solve for y, same thing, you're going to go use 2/3 and 5 over y. right? So cross multiply, 3 times x is 3x, 5 times 2 is 10, x equals 10 over 3. Put it in an improper fraction would be 3 and 1/3, because 3 times 3 is 9. Same thing here, 2 times y is 2y, 3 times 5 is 15, and y would equal 15 over 2. Put in improper fraction, in mixed number form would be 7 and 1/2. Problems number 9 and 10. 9 and 10. On number 10, they ask you which polygons are similar. All right, so these are triangles. You could prove two triangles are similar by angle. All right, so they have to have two angles that are equal to each other. This triangle here has an angle of 60, 10, and 110. This one has angle of 60 and 30, which means this last one here, 60 and 30 is 90, so that means this one has to be 90 degrees. This one, they only tell us one angle is 80 degrees, so you can't figure out what the other two are because they don't give us any clue. And the last one has an angle of 60 and 10. So the only two angles that have matching, two triangles that have two matching angles is this one and this one. This one has an angle of 60 and 10, and this one 60 and 10. All right, on problem number 10, it says which triangles are similar. So this one has a side of 6 to 12. This one has a side of 8 to 16, 4 to 8, and 3 to 6. Now, if you'll pay attention, all of those are equal to 1/2 when they're reduced, right? 1/2, 6 is 1/2 of 12, 8 is 1/2 of 16, 4 is 1/2 of 8, and 3 is 1/2 of 6. So they're all in a ratio of 1/2. But the problem is where the included angle is. The angle for them to be similar has to be included between the two sides. So this one, yes, 25 is between 6 and 12. Yes, 25 is between 8 and 16. No, 25 is not between 8 and 4. It's over here. And then yes, it is between 3 and 6. So this triangle, and this triangle are similar, leaving that last one not similar. In problem number 11, they ask which of these triangles are right triangles. So in right triangles, the way you can tell if a triangle is a right triangle is that it works with the Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. All right? Now, your right angle is going to be where two lines are perpendicular. So here's your right angle, your right angle, your right angle, your right angle. All right, A and B are the legs of your right triangle, and C is the hypotenuse. It's always the side opposite the right angle. So draw a little arrow, and it'll point at the hypotenuse, all right? So these are the legs. It doesn't matter if 3 is A or B is A. It does not matter, all right? So we'll put these numbers in here and see if they equal. 3 squared plus 5 squared equals square roots of 35 squared. All right, 3 squared is 9, 5 squared is 25, and when you square a square root, you get itself outside of square root. So this would equal 35, okay? So 9 plus 25 is 36 equals 35. Is that true? No. So this is not a right triangle. Oops, I drop it on the floor. This is not a right triangle. All right, do it again. The hypotenuse is square roots of 41, so it's going to be 4 squared plus 5 squared equals square roots of 41 squared. So 4 squared is 16, 5 squared is 25, and then square roots of 41 squared is 41. So it's 25 plus 16, 41. So 25 plus 10 would be 35, plus 6 would be 41. 41 equals 41. Yes, this is a right triangle. All right, moving on to the next one. 6 squared plus 8 squared equals square roots of 10 squared. Okay, so 6 squared is 36, plus 8 squared is 64, and remember, squared means you multiply this number by itself. 6 times 6 is 36, 8 times 8 is 64. Square root of 10 squared is going to be 10. Remember, when you square a square root, it's itself. 64 plus 36 is actually 100. 100 equals 10. Not true, and this is not a right triangle. All right, last one. Your hypotenuse is 3 squared of 3. So this would be 3 squared plus 3 squared equals 3 square roots of 3 squared. So this would be 3 squared. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 3 is 9. Now, when you square a whole number and a square root, you go 3 times 3 is 9. And then you multiply by square roots of 3 squared, which is 3. So 9 plus 9 is 18. 9 times 3 is 27. 18 equals 27 is not true. That is not a right triangle. So the only one that's a right triangle is the triangle with sides of 4, 5, and square roots of 41. Problem number 11, they give you a proportion. They say the side of one polygon is 20 feet. Find the corresponding side of a similar polygon. So there's our unknown. That's what we're looking for. Side of the similar polygon with corresponding sides of the first polygon 3 feet to 12 feet. Okay, so they're all in feet, so we don't have to change any from feet to inches or anything like that. So just cross multiply like we did in the first, earlier in this section. Let's go ahead and reduce this. That'll make it easier. 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 12 4 times. Now we just have to cross 4 times 20 is 80, and x times 1 is x. X equals 80. So this means it's in a ratio of 20 to 80. If you'll notice, all the sides 20 to 80 and 3 to 12 will reduce to 1/4. That's the ratio of the two sides. They ask in this problem, what is the ratio of their perimeters? And one of your theorems in this unit tells you that the ratio of any two sides of a polygon is equal to the ratio of their perimeters. All right? So if the ratio of the sides is equal to the ratio of the perimeters. So if the ratio of the sides 1/4, the perimeter is also 1/4. And number 13, they say to find x. Now, they've given you this little square in the corner of the triangle. That lets you know this is a right triangle. And they give you two sides. So we can use the Pythagorean theorem, which we just used a couple of problems ago. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. All you got to know is what you're looking for, a, b, or c. So this one, you're looking at x is the hypotenuse. It's opposite the right angle. So that's c. Remember, a and b are the legs. C is always the hypotenuse. So what you're looking for is the hypotenuse. So just put these numbers in here. 5 squared plus 8 squared equals c squared. 5 squared is 25. 8 squared, oh, that's a plus sign now. Equals 8 squared is 64 equals c squared. So 25 plus 64, 89. 89 equals c squared. And then to solve for c squared, the opposite of squared, when you move it across the equal sign, is a square root sign. Square root of 89 equals c. All right, problem number 14. This is a right triangle, but it's a special kind of right triangle. It is a 30, 60, 90 degree triangle. You see that has a 30 here. Oh, I got these numbers mixed up. Actually, all it has is a right triangle symbol and then a 60. But as soon as you have a 90 and 60, all you have left is 30 degrees. Okay? 30, 60, 90. In a 30, 60, 90, there's a special theorem about this 30, 60, 90 degree triangle. The short leg is equal to A. The short leg is opposite the 30 degree angle. So here's the 30 degree angle. That's the shortest leg. That's called A. Then you have the long leg. That's opposite the 60 degree angle. It's B. And opposite the right angle is always C. That's the hypotenuse. All right, in a 30, 60, 90, A, the short leg equals A. The long leg equals A times square roots of 3. And the hypotenuse equals 2 times the short leg. All right, in this case, they've given us A is 8. All right, so that means A equals 8, B equals 8, which is A, square roots of 3, and C equals 2 times 8, which is 16. So every time, no matter what number they give you, you can plug it in here and it's going to work. So they ask for X, which is C, 16, and Y, which is B, is 8 square roots of 3. Remember that 30, 60, 90 degree theorem. Problem number 15, they ask you to find the diagonal of the rectangular solid. So this is the formula for the diagonal of the rectangular solid is diagonal equals length squared plus width squared plus height squared. And they give you all three of those numbers, 3, 4, and 5 on your paper here. So diagonal equals 3 squared plus 4 squared plus 5 squared. So 3 squared, 3 times 3 is 9, 4 times 4 is 16, and 5 times 5 is 25. Add all those numbers. 25 plus 16, we already figured out was 41. And then 41 plus 9 is 50, so the square root of 50. Now, square root of 50 isn't at lowest terms because 50 has a factor that has a square root. So your square root numbers are 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 30, 36, 49. So whenever you have a square root as your answer, you want to look and make sure none of these numbers are able to be divided into this. This one does. 25 goes into 50 twice. So you would go 50 is 25 times 2. And 25 has a square root. The square root of 25 is 5. So it comes out, and then all that's left in there is 2. So the answer would be 5 square roots of 2. Now, problem number 16. They ask for the slant height of the rectangular pyramid. And they tell you that, sorry, not the rectangular pyramid, the square pyramid. Find the slant height of the square pyramid. All right, so this is one side of the pyramid. They already told you it had a base of 6, and this right here is also 6. Now, this tells us it's square, so that means every side is 6. That makes it an equilateral triangle. An equilateral triangle has all equal angles. A triangle that has all equal angles, every angle is 60 degrees. 60, 60, and 60. They want the slant height, which is the height that goes right up the middle of this down to the bottom. It makes a right angle, and it cuts this in half. Half of 60 is 30. So what we've got here is a 30, 60. Here's your 30, 60, 90 degree triangle. Now remember your 30, 60, 90 degree theorem. The short leg equals itself. The long short leg, which is A, equals itself. B equals the short leg times square root of 3. And the hypotenuse equals twice the short leg. So in this equation, your right angle is right here, meaning your hypotenuse is this side. Your hypotenuse is 6. It's twice the short leg. So if the hypotenuse is 6, that means the short leg is 3, making this side right here 3, which we already knew because it was cut in half. And if your short leg is 3, A equals 3, then B equals 3 square roots of 3. So your long leg, which is opposite the 60 degree angle right here, 3 square roots of 3. So the slant height of this pyramid is 3 square roots of 3. Problem number 17, they give you a different kind of triangle. They give you a 45, 45, 90 degree triangle. It goes like this. Not quite right. Okay, here's your right angle, and they say this angle is 45. If you have a right angle, that means the other two have to add to 90, and if one's 45, makes the other one also 45. In a 45, 45, 90 degree triangle, it also has a special theorem to go with it. The legs are equal to each other. So A equals A, B also equals A. And the hypotenuse, C, is always equal to the short leg times square root of 2. The leg times square root of 2. So they tell you in this line, this angle, this side right here is worth 7. This is X, this is Y. Now this is the hypotenuse. Y is the hypotenuse. Why did I put a 7 right there? It's opposite the 90 degree angle, makes it the hypotenuse. Okay, in a 45, 45, 90, your two sides are equal. So if this side is equal to 7, this side is also equal to 7. So X equals 7. And then Y, which is the hypotenuse, is always equal to the side times square root of 2. So that means Y is equal to 7 square roots of 2. No multiplication, and that's all you have to do. We did a little trigonometry in this unit using the sine, cosine, and tangent ratios. So these are when you know a right triangle and all you know is one angle. Here's a right triangle and all you know is one angle and one side. All right? So in a sine, you would use opposite over hypotenuse, cosine adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent opposite over adjacent. Now these are opposite and adjacent. These are to the acute angle, which is the one you know. So your hypotenuse never changes. It's always opposite the right angle, but your opposite and adjacent change according to if you know this angle or if you know this angle. If you know this angle, the side opposite is this one. So if you're looking for the hypotenuse, you would use sine because you know sine 70 degrees is equal to opposite, which is 8 over hypotenuse, which is x, all right? If your 70 is up here, then the side opposite is here, and adjacent would be here. So if your 70 is up here, then this would actually be cosine 70 degrees would equal adjacent, which is x, 8 over hypotenuse. There is a chart that would tell you what cosine 70 degrees is equal to, and that's how we use it. We should have all covered this already a little bit in our unit. So they give us two problems that are set up. They give us an airplane and they say this angle right here is 70 degrees. This is 800 feet right here. And they want to know what's the altitude of the airplane. Okay, so this is your right angle because that's the ground and the altitude, right? So in this case, they want you to find this, and you know this. So what you don't know and what you don't need to know is the hypotenuse. So this one, here's your acute angle is 70 degrees. So your opposite to the 70 degree angle is x, and adjacent is 800. So you're going to use tangent because it's the one that uses opposite and adjacent. So this would be tangent 70 degrees equals side opposite, which is x, over adjacent, which is 800. Your other one is a ship in the sea, and they say the height of the ship is 30 feet, and this is an 80 degree angle, and they want to know what is the distance to the iceberg over here, right? So here's your right angle, and you know 80. You don't know your hypotenuse, and you don't need to know your hypotenuse, so it's the same thing again. Tangent, the side opposite is x, and the side adjacent is 30. So it would be tangent 80 degrees is equal to opposite, which is x, over 30. All right, one last problem. Find the height of the cross, if the shadow of a boy 5 foot 6 inches tall is 2 feet and the shadow of the cross is 3 yards. So we are going to use triangles and indirect measure. We're just going to put a proportion. We're going to put the height of the boy over the height of his shadow. We're also going to put the height of the cross over the height of the cross's shadow. All right? Now, we have feet, inches, and yards. So we have to make them all equal, so we're going to have to put them all in inches. Now, there's 12 inches in a foot. So the shadow of a boy, 5 foot, 6 inches tall. So the boy is 5 foot. So 5, you have to multiply that by 12. 5 times 12 is 60. 5 foot, which is 60 inches and 6 inches. So that means he's 66 inches tall. His shadow is 2 feet. So 2 times 12 is 24 inches. The height, they want to know the height of the cross. So that's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking for. And the length of the shadow of the cross is 3 yards. So there are 3 feet in a yard. So 3 times 3 is 9 feet. And then 9 times 12 is 108. So you need to do blah, 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 your cross multiplication. 108 times 66 equals 24x. So you need to multiply these two numbers and divide by the 24, and you'll have your answer. And they ask for the answer in inches, so you don't have to change it at all, just multiply. All right, make sure you know your math on this test and come ready to take it.